Hi again, this is Kavita from Vanity Blends. I'd like to tell you about my first experience trying pu'er tea. But before I get into that, I just finished a really great novel. It's by Lisa C. called The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane, and it is centered around a young woman who grows up in Yunnan province in China, and it talks about her life, her trials, tribulations, her sacrifices, and how she went from a child steeped in traditions, learning from her mother and her village, to becoming a tea expert. It's obviously a lot more than that. There are many themes, there are many complex parts of the story, and a parallel storyline with another young woman who lives in the US. But you can see my full review on our blog at fantasyblends.ca, which I'll show you how to get to in the next couple of seconds. So this is our site. You can see at vanityblends.ca. Skip over to the menu on the left, and there's a selection that says Vanity Book Reviews, and that's where you'll see the full review of the novel. Okay, so let's dive right in. So pu'er tea is something that I hadn't heard of until a few months ago, getting involved in the tea business. It is definitely not something new. It's not a new tea, maybe new to the Western world. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. That's actually one of my concerns. When I saw what the actual word is spelled like, it is from the Camellia sinensis plant, but it is grown in Yunnan province. Now, there is an aging to this type of tea. Some people may claim that it's from ancient trees, but who really knows? There is an artificial fermentation process that allows microorganisms to help with the fermentation of the tea, and that contributes to its taste a lot. There's a raw pu'er tea and there's cooked pu'er tea. Now, I can't say that I'm any sort of expert in choosing it. This is really my first time trying to get a small sample of it just to get a sense of what it tastes like. So here's a video that I'm going to show you that's about my third infusion of the actual tea. So after the first rinse of the leaves, this, as I said before, was my third infusion, and you can tell that the liquor is this really nice rust colored brown that sort of got darker with each infusion. So on to my first impression. I have to say, I guess I had an expectation that there would be this earthy taste. When I opened the sachet of the pu'er tea, it smelled a lot like fish food, which is probably not something very appealing to anyone and might be an instant turnoff. And you know, I was really cognizant of the fact that I didn't want to try something that smelled like mold, or maybe it was fake pu'er tea, which is very possible, because some people, especially commercial brands, might be selling the pu'er tea as from ancient trees, but they really aren't. And when I actually tasted it by the first to third infusion, I realized that there was a taste like mushrooms. So there was a point in time where I tried to cook shiitake mushrooms in a wine reduction, red wine reduction. That did not come out the way that I expected, and that's a taste that I remember. So this is what it reminded me of, and anyone who knows me knows that I really don't cook. So that's probably why it didn't come out the way that I wanted it to. So that was kind of the taste profile that I got from this particular type of tea. I would like to show you what the tea looked like after the infusion. So you can see that there are a lot of stems, not a whole lot of leaves, very broken up pieces, and I'm going to compare it to a green tea that I used recently so that you can see the difference. The pu'er tea I used is on the left, and on the right is a gunpowder green tea. You can see how nice and large the leaves of the green tea are. I can practically imagine the tea experts rolling their eyes at my description, but it's really my first impression of tea that I bought not in a grocery store but in another tea store off the shelf, and that should probably be the first red flag. And I don't think it's supposed to taste like this. I believe that this might have been cooked pu'er, and then based on, you know, the ratio of stems and leaves, definitely they're decimated, and you should probably see a lot more leaves. Raw pu'er tends to be greener. This was very brown, rust colored brown, as you could see by the cup that I poured, and I don't think it's supposed to get darker with every infusion. Pu'er tends to come in cake format, like a bird's nest almost, and you have a specific tool to be able to cut into the pu'er cake so that you can get a very precise measurement when you do your infusion. I don't think this has completely turned me off. Obviously, this is just the first try. I'm very willing to try all sorts of different teas and learn the different aspects and properties of them, and I'd like to share it with you. So thanks for joining me today, and see you at the next video.